Hi, Gigi.
Good afternoon, Onleilove. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Mm,
Um, good
This is
afternoon.
Jennifer.
Um, Good afternoon, Jenny. Can you both see and hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I tried,
Yes.
thank you so much. I tried to, and I appreciate you being on. Is one of you going to translate?
That would be
Yeah.
Jennifer.
Yes, I'm gonna be the Spanish translator.
Okay, so and that's Jenny.
Yes, my name is Jennifer.
Okay, so Jennifer, I emailed you the slides if you wanted to look at them. Everything is not translated word for word. So if I need to go slower, just let me know. And hi, Christy. Kaya, we will be getting started at 6 o'clock. Right now, staff is just doing a check in before the workshop. So if you could be patient with us, we would appreciate that. Um,
Can you send the files over again? Because the ones that you sent, I cannot access them. It says that the file is corrupted.
I can try to send it again. I'm um not sure what's wrong with the files, but I'll be projecting the slides on the screen as well. It was more so for you to look at before the workshop. So I'll
All
try
right.
to send it again, but I'm about to put the files on the screen. Um, and I did try to add to the thank you form in Microsoft Teams, the Zoom information. So hopefully people will see that information. Um, and they won't need anyone to send them the Zoom. But Gigi, are you able to put the message I sent you in the chat?
Yes, it's
And
there.
are you able to just double check the RSVP link if there's anyone who registers and they're after 11, they're a new registration.
Okay.
And
This,
Jennifer, I just emailed you the slides again. On my end, they're working well, and I'll project them as well.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome if you are joining the workshop. Thank you. Welcome, Emily. Welcome, Kaya. Welcome to Christy, our Director of Youth Services. We will be getting started at 6 o'clock. So, right now, we're just doing some troubleshooting as staff, but thank you for being early to the workshop.
Onleilove,
Can everyone see the slides?
yes.
Okay, thank you, Emily. Thank you, Kaya. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, and welcome back, Kaya. Welcome. Gigi works with one of our after school program sites, and Jennifer, who will be translating for us, also works at one of our after school program sites. So, welcome to Jennifer and Gigi as well. And again, we'll be getting started right at 6 o'clock. We're just waiting for a few more people to arrive. Jenny, you can private message me if you have issues with the PowerPoint, and I'm sending the RSVP link to the group that Christy made. And thank you, Christy, for making the group. And can everyone say what borough they're from? And if you're not from New York State, if you could say what state you're from. From New York? What part of New York are you from? Thank you, Christy. I live in Harlem. Okay, the Bronx. Thank you, Kaya.
You're welcome.
And welcome to Rahama from Mighty Village. Thank you for joining us. It was great to meet you during the virtual workshop.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Please let me know if I'm pronouncing your name correctly.
Oh, it's Rahima.
Rahima, thank you so much for joining us. And we are just going to give some people a little bit more time. Can you hear the music?
Yes.
Okay, thank you, Christy. Welcome, Rita. We will be getting started in a few more minutes.
Hola, padres, buenas tardes. Solamente para avisarles, si alguien de ustedes necesita que sea traducido el programa en español. Did anybody hear me?
Maybe say it again because the music was playing.
Okay.
I heard you.
I heard the later part, but not fully the first part.
I heard you.
I'm sorry. Okay, everyone heard? Okay. Thank you, Jenny.
No, welcome.
Okay, good evening. We are going to get started now. If you can hear me and if you can see the slides, can you put a 1 in the chat? And I want to welcome you to the Neighborhood Initiatives Development Corporation Family Support Network's February virtual workshop, Connecting Heart to Heart, Healthy Communication with Your Child, Part 2. We did do Part 1 in July, and it was attended by a lot of people. And so we wanted to make sure to continue it. But even if you, thank you so much, even if you did not do the first part, you'll still be able to follow along with part 2. And please make sure you register for the workshop so you can get your email with additional resources later. And Jenny, thank you for the message. Can you make sure to send the message to the whole group chat? Thank you so much.
All right, no problem.
Thank you. And so NIDC was started about 41 years ago, and we run after school programs, housing programs, summer camp programs, community engagement programs throughout the Northeast Bronx, and even a little bit outside of that. Also, William Foster is our executive director. We also are blessed to have Christy Olson with us, who's the director for all of our youth service programs, and also Gigi and Jenny, who work in our after school programs, are on to help with the chat and also to help translate. So, Gigi and Jenny, if you can, put which schools you work at in the chat. Christy, is there anything you want to say to parents before we move forward?
Just welcome, and I'm glad you guys decided to show up.
Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you for being early and on time. We wanted to just give a brief overview. Thank you to those who have come to workshops before, but we also want to give a brief overview to those of you who may be new to NIDC and the Family Support Network. The Family Support Network is a supportive community for parents and caregivers, empowering them to network, learn, and grow in order to raise the next generation of healthy and thriving children. We have empowering and engaging in person and virtual workshops and events. Thank you so much, Gigi. We also help to connect you to resources for you, your family, or your child. We also want to hear from you. If you have advice about family communication, if you have questions, if you have some advice for what a parent is going through, please share, because we want parents and child caregivers to network with each other. And then also, we have a monthly Family Support Network newsletter. And that newsletter is really important because we give all of our events, and we also give a lot of great resources for you and for your children that you can utilize. At our in person workshops, we have refreshments, and online and in person, we also have, thank you so much, Jenny. We also give out virtual workshop prizes. If you need translation into Espanol, please let us know and Jenny will translate.
Si algunos de los padres necesitan que el taller sea transmitido en español, por favor, déjenos saber.
Thank you so much, Jenny. And we wanted to just ask, if you already haven't, to please put your child's age and school in the chat. If you are joining us from outside of New York City, put where you're living. And Gigi, would it be possible for you to look at the RSVP form? We had 2 new RSVPs, and I wanted to make sure we can email them this Zoom. Thank you so much. So I want to see, we have staff from 96 and 483. We have Emily from Astoria. We also have Bronx, New York, Kaya. We have Upstate New York. Zeta School is in the house. And also Adam is from PSQ 31. Thank you for joining us, Adam. You sent the message directly to me. If you can share with everyone. I'm sorry, Rahama. Your child goes to Adam Alabaratier School, PSQ 31. Sorry about
Yes,
that.
correct. I'm sorry.
Yes,
I
thank
confused
you.
you.
Yes, and thank you, Rahama, for joining us from Safe
Thank you.
Families Mighty Village. And Rita, thank you so much. Oh, he attends PS 89. We have some exciting workshops coming up at PS 89. Um, and so we're going to jump into the workshop information. Just so you know, we record these workshops so that we can add them to our NIDC YouTube playlist of all of our virtual parent workshops. If there's something that you want to privately ask or speak about, let me know and I will pause the recording, and then when you're finished speaking, we can restart the recording again, because as a social worker, I don't want to violate anyone's confidentiality. And my name is Onleilove Alston, and I work with all of our different schools as the social worker. Tonight, we're going to continue to share practical tips for improving parent and child communication. But we recognize everyone that plays a role in children's lives, whether they're godparents, aunts and uncles, grandparents, youth workers, school staff. Anyone who cares about young people can come to our programs. We also want to understand the importance of healthy parent child communication. We want to share some practical resources that you can use to continue to study about this topic. And we want to give you a chance to meet other parents and caregivers. So if you see someone from your child's school, if you see someone from your neighborhood, let us know. And these are our objectives in Spanish. And please let Jenny know if you need translation to happen. And welcome back, Rita. So we want to continue to build on what we went over, but the first part of good communication with any person, and can everyone still see and hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much. So, the first part of good communication with anyone is active listening. And that is just a fancy way of saying give your full attention. So, how do we show that we're giving our full attention? We make eye contact. Now, in some cultures, you may not make eye contact, especially if you're a child or younger with an adult. But just know in American society and most Western societies, when you don't give direct eye contact, it can be seen that you're not listening to the person. So if you come from a culture where you don't give direct eye contact, then make sure to let the person know that you're being respectful by not giving eye contact. Also, put away distractions when you're talking. So, phones, computers, tablets, because we are so distracted and pulled in so many different directions due to social media, due to the internet. It's really important that when you're speaking to your children, put the phone away. You may even want to say when you're at the table eating dinner, that you have a basket where everyone puts their phone or tablet. And while you're eating dinner, no one has the phone or the tablet, just so you can fully be there. Sometimes when we're multitasking, like if you're surfing the internet and trying to hear your child talk about what happened in school, you may actually mishear something, and that's how arguments can start. Also, listen to the person without interrupting. But don't just keep your mouth shut and let them talk, because sometimes we do that. We think if we don't interrupt, that we're listening. But some of us are just being quiet, but while the person's talking, we're building our whole counter argument. So as soon as they stop talking, we go into it and we haven't heard a word that they say. So it's not just about being quiet and not interrupting, it's about actually listening to the person, not just listening to respond. And if you have any questions, you can use the hand raise feature, or you can just come off of mute and raise your hand and let me know you have a question, or you can put the question in the chat. Does anyone have any questions so far? Okay. So the next part of healthy communication with your child is empathy and understanding. Basically, validate their feelings. And you can do that by acknowledging and validating your child's emotions, even if you don't agree with their perspective. So having empathy and understanding doesn't mean that they're automatically right, you're automatically wrong, doesn't mean you agree, but it just means that you notice, hey, I can see you're really upset. I can see you're angry. I can see you're disappointed that you lost the Little League game. It's just letting people know that you understand what they're feeling and that you see that what they're feeling, especially if it's negative feelings like sadness or anger about something. The next part of connecting on communication is to make sure you have clear and respectful communication. So, when you have clear and respectful communication, that means that you use age appropriate language. So it's important to speak to our children. And some children, they hear millions of words by time they're 2 or 3. And those children actually go on to do better in school. They go on to do better in their careers. And then some kids, they hardly ever, hear words from an adult. So it is important that you communicate to your child and that you also don't only use, baby words or words that you think they can understand, but that you start describing things to them. So if you use a more difficult word or term, explain to them what it is. If you're riding in the car and you see, a certain animal and you have a little child, explain to them what you're actually looking at. Oh, that's a horse, and a horse does XYZ. But when you're having a serious conversation with your child, say you're trying to explain homework to them, say you're trying to, reprimand them, it's important that you use age appropriate language. Because imagine if you're giving your child directions and they can't do what you're asking them to do because they can't understand, because you're using the language that needs to be used for another adult versus using the language that should be used for a 5-year-old or an 8-year-old or a 14-year-old. Sometimes we think our children are being disobedient to us, but we don't realize that they may not be being disobedient, they may not understand the direction. So the way you would tell an adult to clean a room and the way you would tell a 5-year-old to clean a room may be different. If you tell me to clean a room, you don't have to say anything else. But with a 5-year-old, you may have to tell them, put away your toys, make up your bed, put your clothes in the dresser. Like each step, that's also age appropriate language. If you're asking your child to do something that will take multiple steps, explaining each step. So you tailor your language to your child's age level and understanding level, and you avoid complex terms and speak respectfully. Yes, the process of exchanging information and ideas. Yes, that is very, very true. And welcome to Carolyn. And if you're just joining the workshop, tell us what school your child is in and what borough or state you live in. Yes, we need to not only say things, especially if the child is under 10, you want to explain even when you're in the supermarket. This is an apple. Apples are usually red, but they can be yellow. This is, a mountain if you're on vacation. This is the ocean. This is also how your child builds up their communication. For little kids, and we see this the most with babies, a lot of times babies cry when they're hungry, when they're wet, and we understand it. Why? Because they don't have the words to tell you, I'm hungry, I'm tired, I need my pamper change. But sometimes with older kids and even with adults, if they never learn how to express themselves, they may yell, have blow ups, and outbursts because they don't have the words to explain what they need. And this can be someone that's 60 years old. And so it's important that you start to model talking about feelings, complex sentences, different vocabulary. So even if your child is upset, they can begin to tell you how they feel versus falling out and having a tantrum. You also want to make sure, and we are going to have a separate workshop just about boundaries because this has come up. since we started these workshops in the spring of 2023 and parents of all different types keep bringing it up, we will have a separate workshop just on boundaries. But with your child, to communicate well and to connect, you want to set boundaries and expectations. So be clear and consistent about rules, be clear and consistent about what you expect, what you don't expect, and you also make sure to have a sleep routine, a morning routine. The more routine you have with children, the easier it will be to avoid yelling and temper tantrums. And thank you so much, Principal Carolyn. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're looking forward to working more with PS 77. And I'll be responding to your email tomorrow. Thank you so much, Gigi. And Kaya, you said communication should definitely be the firm foundation of ECE and all throughout childhood. If you could explain to me what ECE means, I would appreciate it. It definitely builds a foundation for each area of learning. They are never too young to understand if we create the avenue. Kaya, that's an excellent example. And if you want your child to do better on reading and writing and essays and state tests, research does show the more vocabulary words kids know, the younger they are, the better they do in school. Emily, thank you so much. Oh, Alfred E. Smith School. I'm familiar with your school. Thank you and welcome. So make sure that any rules you want the child to follow are clear and that you communicate them in a calm and consistent manner. This will get ahead of having disagreements over what time they should go to bed, when they should stop looking at their tablet or phone. If you have clear boundaries and rules in advance, you can avoid arguments and tussles. And the more you stay consistent with the rules, then you can also have your child be less anxious because they know what to expect. When we do our tech safety workshops, which are coming up in some schools and online, we talk about setting up a tech routine. What time do the phones go away? What time does the TV go off? What are days where the phone doesn't come on? Do you practice certain religious observances where the phone shouldn't be on? Or is it, expected that if your family's having a party, that people are not on their phones? Try to be as forthright as possible with the rules and expectations so you're not explaining things when you're rushing to make it to school on time. And then that's where you may, say it in a short way yourself because you're rushing and then an argument starts. Does anyone have any questions or comments? And thank you for everyone who's chatting in the chat. But any questions or comments or any advice you want to give about setting up, the expectations or communicating with your children before we move forward? Okay. So another way to improve communication, we have something in the chat. Thank you so much, Emily. I appreciate it. So another way that some of you may say my child communicates too much. They yell, they scream, or some kids are not yelling and screaming, they just talk your ear off. I had a little brother, it took him a long time to talk, and then once he started talking at about 2, he never was quiet. So some of you don't have to work on getting your child to open up. But for others, you have to actually work on getting your child to open up to you. They don't talk a lot. They may be sad and you don't find out until way after. And so sometimes with those children that are a little bit more introverted, and there's nothing wrong with being introverted, there's nothing wrong with being more quiet, but you may have to use positive reinforcement. So praise your child's efforts, praise their achievements. If they went from a C to a B in a class, praise that. Maybe give them something special. Recognize and celebrate your child's efforts. They cleaned up their room. It may not be as good as when you cleaned it up, but they did it. They did it on time. So celebrate that. Celebrate their successes. Celebrate successes of the family. You know, if someone in the family gets a promotion or someone else is graduating, start to develop a culture of celebration for the whole family. So, this is building positive reinforcement for everyone. And it also builds confidence and it encourages positive behavior among your children. Basically, what you reward is what will increase. What you focus on is what will increase. So, the only time your child receives any reinforcement from you is when they're getting in trouble and they did something wrong. If they want your attention, guess what they'll do? They'll do something wrong. But if they know they're going to receive time with you, talking from you, conversation from you, whether they do wrong and they're being reprimanded, or if they do right and they're receiving positive reinforcement, if they want your attention, they'll choose positive ways to get it. So, positive reinforcement is a type of reinforcement that involves providing a reward or a stimulus after a desired behavior occurs in order to increase the likelihood of that behavior being repeated in the future. So, one example could be praise. So, saying good job, or publicly acknowledging your child, or a private congratulations. This is very fast and simple. It works in a lot of situations. The cons is if you overuse praise, it can be condescending, or people could think, oh, they're just flattering me. Or my mom, she's going to say whatever I do is nice. So make sure that whatever praise you give is honest praise. This is best even for dogs when you're training them, if you're teaching someone, even if you're working with people, and of course with parenting. Everyone loves positive reinforcement, but just make sure that your praise is legitimate. And then another example is food. So, if I write 200 more words on this article, I can give myself a candy. Or some people, when they're training their dogs, they give them a treat. Some teachers, will give the class a pizza party if everyone had perfect attendance for the month. But some it can be a powerful incentive and it can work in many situations. But if you know that your child struggles with overeating, or if they have allergies or food intolerances, make sure that you don't only reward them with food, but maybe reward them with stickers, or with a night out at a movie or an activity, or with a play date with their favorite cousin, or rent a movie they've been wanting to watch. So you don't only have to use food and praise, but think of what your child would like. Also, if you are going to use treats to reward your child, just be mindful that too much sugar can lead to health issues like hyperactive behavior. And this even works with training dogs, with working with kids, but also in the workplace. Christy is very good as a director at NIDC with getting treats or nice thank you cards, or like I think it was last week. The days are going so fast, where she had 2 weeks ago she had a Valentine's party for staff. And so these are little things you can do where you're rewarding people for what they're doing, and you're also showing people they won't only get attention for negativity, they'll get attention for positivity. Because often what will happen is the kids that have the most behavior problems, they may seem to get the most attention at school and families and after school. And so then the kids that are well behaved feel like, well, I'm not going to get anything unless I start acting up as well. And sometimes that can be why you have a kid that went from well behaved to now having discipline issues. And so now, I want to ask if anyone has any questions relating to conflicts with their children. Because in July, we had a lot of questions from fathers actually about communication and conflicts. So, to say that you could never have a conflict with your child, that's not really realistic. You could be the best communicator in the world, give all the positive reinforcement, have great boundaries, clear expectations. But in any relationship, there's going to be conflicts, including the parent child relationship. And so, in these cases, you want to focus on solutions and not blame. So, you want to approach conflicts with a problem solving mindset. Even with your children, you want to start to model for your children and teach your children how to be problem solvers. Okay, you're frustrated because you don't get to play as much on your basketball team the way you want. What can we do to get you off the bench? Avoid blame and work together to find solutions. So, Emily, you say your daughter talks too much. In what way does she talk too much? Does she argue with you? Does she ask a lot of questions? Let me know in the chat. And so, 6 building blocks to stress free parent and child communication. And you can use these when conflicts arise, is be on the same level and make eye contact, especially for kids when they're smaller. Give your undivided attention. Remember earlier I said when we're multitasking, when our children are talking to us, we can mishear something, they can mishear something. And then that can cause a conflict. And don't let your child multitask you. So you're talking to them, they're on the tablet, they're on the phone, then they mishear something, they get an attitude. All of that could have been avoided by telling them, while we're talking, please put the phone down. Please give me the tablet. Be positive, no blaming or bribing. So, rewarding someone with positive reinforcement is not a bribe, that's a reward for good behavior. What you don't want to get positive reinforcement mixed up with is this idea of, well, you're crying, let me give you a treat to stop. You won't clean your room, let me give you a treat so you clean your room. Once you do that, the positive reinforcement, that it becomes the positive reinforcement loses its power when you are now bribing your child. So Emily said her daughter asked a lot of questions. Rahima said in the chat, but everyone can't see it, my son asked too many questions. So usually having a child that asks a lot of questions is actually a positive. That means they are probably intellectually curious and they want to know about the world. So in that case, you start to think about, what are they asking a lot of questions about? Is it about school? Is it about nature? Is it about the neighborhood? Is it about the family? And then when you see what they're interested in, try to buy books or comics or activities that relate to what they ask questions about. It might be annoying, but it will come in handy when they get older and they have to do research projects or they have to write papers. You don't want to shut them down from asking questions. You just want to make sure that they know that if someone is talking, they shouldn't interrupt them to ask questions. And also, you want to let them know not to ask people personal questions about their health or their money, like inappropriate questions. But try to see what your child is curious about, what they're asking the most questions about, and try to start getting them activities, even computer games that relate to that. Make sure that you voice your opinions and your feelings. Like I feel disappointed that you did not do your work in school today, but also ask your child what is their opinion about a decision the family's making? What are their feelings about what happened at Little League? Also, focus on body language. Is your child's body language closed? Closed body language is like folding your arms, sitting far away from. Is it open? Are they trying to give you a hug? And you're multitasking and you miss it. Turn and, return that hug. Also, you want to repeat what you heard your child say. And this might sound weird, but when you're training to do therapy or counseling, they talk about positive regard. And so, usually, if you're in therapy, you'll say something like, I am depressed because my mother died. And the therapist will say, so what I'm hearing is you've been struggling with depression because your mother died. And it's like, right now it sounds weird. It's like, why did she just repeat what was just said? But when you're in a conversation with someone, or a conflict, or maybe a conversation where they feel sad, and you repeat what you've heard them say, it shows the person you're listening to them, you're having empathy for them, and it shows that you're alert. So repeating what your child said back to them, it also, if the person speaking is confused, not only a child but an adult, and you repeat what they said back to them, they might realize, wait a minute, I'm making the wrong decision, or now that I hear what I said, I'm judging you totally wrong. So it helps to repeat what you heard. Also, if you're concentrating on repeating what you heard, that will make sure that you are an active listener. So some other communication strategies, and honestly, these not only work with children, but they can also work with family, with adults, with coworkers. Position yourself so that you can see your child's face during play and communication. So face to face communication. If you come from a culture that doesn't do eye contact between adults and elders, then please explain that to people you interact with who may be from a culture where eye contact is important. Also, act and react. Follow your child's gaze. Wait for him or her to make the first move, or listen to what your child is telling you through their expressions, their gestures, sounds, or words. Respond to what they're interested in, and be ready to move to a new activity if needed. So, for those of you who have kids who ask a lot of questions, if they're asking a lot of questions about sports, maybe take some time to watch sports programming with them or read to them about sports. Again, copy what your child says and add 1 to 2 words, such as, so what I'm hearing you say is you're disappointed when you don't get to play on the basketball team as much. Remember to use language at your child's level. So, example, if you're dealing with someone, a child 5 and under, maybe you say, help me, instead of, do you want help? Also, remember comment versus question. Use more comments than questions. So instead of, is that a ball? What is that? What color is the ball? Try, it's a ball. Wow, I see a blue ball. Let's throw the ball. This is a way to teach younger kids vocabulary and interact with them. Also, make a routine so you can use the same language during your daily routines. Encourage communication during fun, repetitive games. Begin the activity the same way you use the same words. Plan their turn. Some resources for making a language routine are word walls. You can look on the internet for word walls that you can make on poster board and hang up in your child's room, or that you can print out for free. And what word walls do, and this is really an activity for children maybe 6 and up, is every day the child will have a word where they'll learn the definition, and they're able to, and then you and the child and other people in your family, if you want, you will plan to use that word throughout the day. Once they finish the word wall, like say there were 10 words on the wall and they finish it, you may want to give them a prize. You can also help with language routines by downloading language calendars that we share in the Family Support Network newsletter. Every month, I get an email from a speech teacher that has a calendar of words for February, for March, for April, and I include them in the monthly Family Support Network newsletter. And those are words you can use with your child during the month for preschool, elementary, and middle school, and it will say which age range it's for. Also, just like you don't want your child to interrupt you, try not to interrupt your child. And when you ask them a question or inquire about something with them, wait for your child to comment. Also, if you want your child to be respectful with communication, if you want your child to communicate well, make sure you lead by example. So demonstrate good communication practices such as active listening, empathy, and respect, not only when you're talking to your child, but when you're talking to other family members, coworkers, or friends around your child. Remember, kids don't just go by listening to what we say, they go by listening to what we do. And they look and see everything that you do. So, are there any questions or comments? Okay, and please pay attention because the gift card game is going to come up in a minute. So make sure that you have regular check-ins as a family. So maybe schedule regular times to check in with your child or check in as a whole family about their feelings, experiences, and not just when problems happen, but you could say once a month you have a family dinner where everyone's checking in. What's happening at school? What's happening at work? Where do we want to go on vacation? Or if something does come up, like a grandparent pass away, you can check in on that. But you can choose the time and the place, but make sure you have regular family meetings and check-ins. Also, there's no shame in seeking support. We all struggle with communication, not just with children, but adults struggle with communicating with each other. Couples struggle with communicating with each other. So recognize when communication issues may require professional help, such as counseling or therapy. So, for example, reaching out to the school social worker. Thank you so much, Principal Carolyn. Take care, and I look forward to emailing with you. Um, if your child is having difficulty communicating, if they're having difficulty with angry outbursts, or just speech difficulties, you definitely want to talk to the child's teacher, a school social worker, the parent coordinator. You can reach out to me as a social worker at NIDC for resources. You can reach out to a mental health counselor or therapist. But if you or your child are really struggling with communication, please don't just let it go, because angry outburst or a child that's too quiet may actually indicate an issue such as autism or ADHD or speech issue that needs additional help, not just a child that's maybe being disrespectful. Even with yourself, if you find that you're getting into a lot of arguments and disagreements, you may want to receive professional help on how to communicate. Before we go into some question and answer, and also playing a short quiz for our virtual workshop prize, I wanted to tell you that there'll be some resources that I'll be emailing to everyone who registered for the workshop tonight. And one is the Foundational Family Services Successful Communication Sheet, the UNICEF Communication with Children booklet, PDF tips for increasing communication at home, and the 51st word tip sheet. These you will get this sheet in your email. But before that, I want to ask, are there any questions or comments? Any questions about anything that was shared?
No.
Okay. Any
Thank
comments?
you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. And so I want to take a moment now, and this is the check-in. So for our Amazon virtual gift card, how you would win one. Thank you so much, Rahima. You turn on your camera, state your name, and share one fact you learned about communicating with your child. So who wants to go first to compete?
Okay,
Emily?
okay.
Okay.
I'm Ella Gold. Emily.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, Emily Michael.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah. I learned about the communication part that we should communicate well with our children. Hi, my child, I communicate with her. If I'm communicating with her, I don't want her to be interrupted, like checking her phone in Facebook. I want her to be stick to me while I'm talking to her. Like I care for her. I show love, concern to her. I communicate well with her. I make sure she don't make any communication. I talk to her while she's going to school. I communicate to her like what is happening in your school. She said, "Mom, everything is okay in my school." That I've told her if that anybody's bullying her in school. She said, "No, nobody's bullying her in school." I said, "All right, no problem." I love my child. I communicate with her every minute and every day.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you, Emily. So you won the virtual Amazon gift card, and I will be sending that to
Thank
you
you.
after the workshop. So please make sure to put your email in the chat. You can private chat me if you just want me to have it, but I definitely will send you the gift card. And thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Emily. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
And not interrupting your child is very important. And so I know that it can be stressful to think about communication issues with our children. So, like I always say, a very cheap and easy way to decrease your stress is by taking a deep breath. So, if you want to, you could take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. And sometimes, if you feel yourself getting tense with your child or anyone while communicating, you may want to say, I need to step away and take a break, and just go somewhere and take a few deep breaths in and out. Are there any questions or comments?
Thank you so much, Onleilove, for another great workshop.
Thank you so much for coming again. Thank you. And we will be, I'll also tell you all about some future workshops coming up that you can join us at.
Thank you.
Also,
Thank you.
thank you. And thank you to those who joined us from Mighty Village. If you are a resident of Eastchester Gardens, you can come to the community center tomorrow at 6 p.m. and we will be, thank you so much, Emily. We will be doing the Creating Calm organization website. I mean, sorry, not website. Ooh, not an organization website, but we will be doing the workshop Creating Calm, organizing and decluttering your home for family harmony. We will have dinner. Someone will win an NIDC gift bag and movie tickets, but everyone will receive decluttering and family organizing books, planners, and storage containers, and it will be an interactive workshop to learn about how to stay organized. We did have one at PS 105, PS 77 is coming up, and we will be having one at PS 96. So if the workshop hasn't happened at your school, but you want it to happen at your school, please let me know. If you go to 89, it will be coming up in your school. But let me know, and we will try, if it's an NIDC site, to get this workshop in your school. Please also join us next month, the last Tuesday of every month, on Zoom. We have at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time the virtual parent workshop every single month. So you will get email and text reminders, but please join us the last Tuesday in March, and we will be talking about sleep routines. A lot of our workshop topics come out of feedback from parents and people who attend the workshops. And so we would ask, please take the workshop feedback survey. You can put your camera up to the QR code, or you can put in this website and you can take the feedback survey. We really, really appreciate the feedback, and we do read the feedback as well. I'll also be sending this in the post workshop email. And please stay in contact. Follow us on Facebook, on Instagram. You can email me or call me. Check out our website. Also, if you go on our YouTube, you can see past virtual workshops. Thank you so much, Rahima. And so please feel free to spread the information that you learned. And we really, really appreciate all of you being with us tonight. If there are there any other questions or comments? Let's see what's in the chat. Thank you so much, Emily. Yes, you can invite anyone to our workshops. Just remember, don't share the Zoom, but share the registration link or the flyer that I send out. Sometimes we have in-person workshops that are for any parent from anywhere, and we will let you know. But if it's only for a certain school or site, remember to only share it with parents that go to that school or site. But we really, really appreciate it. And thank you to Gigi and Jenny and Christy for being on. And we appreciate everyone joining us tonight. And please have a safe and happy March and reach out to us if you need anything. Good night. And I will be sending, Emily, I will be sending you your gift right in a few minutes. Thank you, everyone. Take care.